New Orleans' most watched news. Fox 8 Local First starts now.
Mr. Speaker, that is a nice ring to it, by the way. Mr. Speaker, I offer a privileged resolution to notify the Senate of the election of Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House of Representatives and ask for its immediate consideration.
Well, after weeks of chaos, the U.S. House of Representatives uniting to elect Republican Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson as the new Speaker of the House. Our team coverage will bring you reaction here at home and in Washington, D.C. Good afternoon. I'm Liz Reyes.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. After multiple tries with other candidates, House Republicans eagerly gave Johnson the gavel with a vote of 220 to 209.
Karen Caifa is in Washington, D.C. with the latest on the House floor vote and how quickly Congress can get back to full speed.
House Republicans would vote Wednesday on their fourth nominee to replace Kevin McCarthy as Speaker.
Today is the day that House Republicans will humbly look in our hearts and elect Mike Johnson as Speaker of the People's House.
And this time, closing the deal.
The challenge before us is great, but the time for action is now, and I will not let you down.
Late Tuesday, Louisiana Republican Mike Johnson emerged as the latest pick to wield the gavel after a wild day that saw House Majority Whip Tom Emmer win the nomination and hours later drop his bid, lacking support to win a floor vote. Johnson, an attorney with a focus on constitutional law, was first elected to the House in 2016, serving on the House Judiciary and Armed Services Committees.
Mike Johnson is a good man, and I think as you saw last night, that we are ready for a leader.
He's a tremendous congressman.
An ally of former President Donald Trump, Johnson was a key congressional figure in failed efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries critical of Johnson's record, but open to finding ways to work together.
All Mike Johnson will need to do is to meet us in a bipartisan way in that fashion, and we'll be able to work together whenever and wherever possible.
Members of both parties eager to get back to work.
We need to get after the mission, and I feel excited that Mike Johnson's the guy that can bring us together and get us back focused on what we said we would do.
In Washington, I'm Karen Caifa.
Mike Johnson represents Louisiana's 4th district.
Now, this runs along the state's western border with Texas, all the way to the northern border with Arkansas. It includes 14 parishes and the city of Shreveport.
The Republican is serving his 4th term in Congress and serves as the vice chairman of the House Republican Caucus. And as an attorney, he concentrated on constitutional law cases. And Johnson also served in the Louisiana legislature from February of 2015 to January of 2017. He lives in Bossier City. And while in Congress, Mike Johnson has proven to be a staunch supporter of former President Donald Trump.
Now, joining us with more perspective on his new powerful position is Fox 8 political analyst Mike Sherman. Welcome.
Well, we thought someone from Louisiana might get it, but never did we think Mike Johnson.
Steve
Scalise.
Right.
Yeah. Steve Scalise was the obvious pick early on.
Now, Johnson has traditionally, as we just heard, he usually aligns himself with the conservative congressional lawmakers, right, in his caucus. In his speech, he talked about bipartisanship. What do you think he had that the others didn't have, that we finally got a speaker with him?
So the chaos in the Republican caucus had reached such an extent that it was time to unify. And the battle was between the moderates and the conservatives. Well, one of the most conservative members of the caucus ended up being victorious. Someone had to relent. The moderates relented in the Republican Party, and Mike Johnson was the Republican in line when that happened.
And why do you think that he was the, I would say, lack of better words, the better choice, the easier choice to get the votes needed to secure that House speakership?
Sure. So for the most conservative members of the Republican caucus, they were the ones who ousted Kevin McCarthy. They were the ones leading this process. When they blessed Mike Johnson, he had a path to victory if the moderates wouldn't revolt. Several conservatives tried. Jim Jordan, Steve Scalise are mentors to Mike Johnson in many ways, but at the time that the chaos reached a tipping point, Mike Johnson was the one who received more votes than anyone else in the caucus, and it was time for the Republicans to unite.
So bottom line, what does this mean for the average person
Yeah.
who's not on the inside politics of D.C. watching this for the rest of the country now that they can get back to business?
Well, expect more divisiveness on big issues in Congress because now we have an even greater divide between Republican and Democratic leadership. But I think at Fox 8 we like doing local first. Having someone from Louisiana in this post is really important. Think about one of our biggest issues right now, insurance, and including flood insurance, right? Well, FEMA and Congress regulate flood insurance. We're being discriminated against in Louisiana. Now we have someone with the speaker's gavel that can force that issue. So lots of benefits to Louisiana, whether a Democrat or Republican is in leadership. Having someone in leadership. We've got Troy Carter as a vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. We have Mike Johnson with the speaker's gavel. Let's see if Steve Scalise holds his position of prominence. Mitch Landrieu in the White House. Louisiana is well represented for the moment.
I like the way you put that all in perspective for our viewers. Thank you.